If you happen to be driving on South Staples this evening near Holly Road, you may have noticed about a dozen protesters out in front of Whiskey River, the popular country nightclub. The protesters contend that the club discriminates against members of the LGBTQ community. All of it coming in the wake of a recent confrontation in which a Kingsville man was asked to remove his makeup before entering the bar. Our Taylor Alanis is out live tonight with the latest on this top story. Taylor?
Joe, back on May 9th, Bobby Rodriguez was excited to come dancing here at Whiskey River with his friends, but before he could go inside, he was stopped by the bouncer and told he couldn't come in.
He kind of just glanced aside, he glanced back at me twice, and then he was just like, unfortunately, you can't go in because you're wearing makeup and we have a gender-specific dress code.
Bobby Rodriguez was in shock when a Whiskey River bouncer recently refused him entry into the bar.
I just went back to the car, took off my lipstick and eyelashes and walked back, and he let me in.
Also confused because he had just been there a few days before for his birthday with the same face of makeup on, and he was able to get in without issue.
Me and my friends were there to have a good night. I wasn't trying to cause problems.
Rodriguez posted on Facebook to vent about how he felt about the situation. The post quickly went viral and caught the attention of national news outlets. On Thursday, the LGBTQ community and supporters stood outside of Whiskey River protesting their dress policy.
It is inhumane and discriminatory to ban people from going out dancing just because of their gender expression.
Rodriguez says there is a dress code sign that talks about tattoos and certain clothing, but says nothing about makeup.
I wasn't dressed like a female because I'm not transgender. I am a male. I let everyone know I am male. I look like a male. I'm 6 feet tall. You cannot mistake me as a female.
While they were out front, Whiskey River employees handed the protesters water.
They've actually been very nice. They haven't come out here and been hateful towards us or anything.
The bar even showed their support by blasting some ABBA and other tunes popular in the LGBTQ community.
I've been out here dancing too. I'm just taking a break. You listen to disco and bar play.
Rodriguez was not able to make it out to this evening's protest, but he says he appreciates the support. He says all he and the protesters want is for this dress code policy of Whiskey Rivers to be inclusive. And now we did reach out to Whiskey River, but they have not gotten back to us. And earlier today, they told us we could not film on their property, but tonight they are closed. Live on the city's south side, Taylor Alanis, 3 News.